psychologists, therapists, counselors, etc. What are some things people tend to think are normal but should really be checked out? Thinking that 5 hours of sleep a night is okay. Rapid weight gain or loss with no obvious medical cause. Relationship problems. Don't get me fucking started. Fuck, if I go to sleep right now I'll get 5 hours. Go to sleep hop. I'm curious how much procrastinating and or lack of motivation to do stuff is normal, and how much isn't. From what my therapist told me, if you would simply rather be doing other stuff, that's perfectly normal. But if you absolutely could not bring yourself to do homework, there's something wrong. I used to have severe anxiety attacks about homework, to the point where when I needed to do it I'd either be completely drained and go to sleep, or have a huge breakdown. How did you break the pattern? A good rule of thumb as to whether a behavior or symptom should be checked out is the same we use to determine a diagnosable disorder: if it causes impairment in one or more areas of life. The range of what is normal is huge, but if something keeps you from going to school or work, keeps you from maintaining basic hygiene, from maintaining your friendships, familial relationships, romantic relationships, it's causing impairment and you should seek help. What if I'm very high functioning? Like I make it to work every day, and have a social life, and I'm able to clean up after myself. But I have no purpose, I'm not actually interested in things, I just exist to pay my bills and smile for the audience. It's like I'm just staring at life's clock waiting for my time to be up. I feel like the world is ending, but it's not scary. I'm frustrated it's taking so long. I'm just tired of existing. Is this fine as long as I show up to work and do my laundry? I would say getting no enjoyment from anything is an obvious impairment on a major area of life, and bound to affect relationships as well. Inability to regulate your own emotion. Also, negative self-talk. We talk to ourselves way worse than any person could. Would an inability to identify most of your emotions count? Therapist: how do you feel? Me: oh, so we're starting with the complicated shit right off the bat. From the patient side, it took having a massive anxiety attack at my doc's office to find out that no, massive anxiety attacks in front of strangers isn't common or normal. Yeah, I'm struggling with that in college RN lol. Ironically, in my stress management class, because we talk about things kind of abstractly and emotionally, and that's just not something that I can do in front of people for some reason. I was basically a walking anxiety attack in college. It took me dropping out and talking to a psychiatrist 2 years later to realize that wasn't normal. Self-sabotaging behavior can ruin your life quickly. If you have an event in your life that has affected you negatively and you seem to find yourself exhibiting irrational or incongruent behaviors, see a counselor. You don't have to have any certain pathology to seek mental wellness counseling. Edit a word. I've been trying to find the right therapist for years. When I was at my lowest point and wanted to kill myself, I called an emergency line that was supposed to connect me with the proper help. I talked to them, crying for 2 hours and begging for help. They promised to help that Monday and would call me back. I waited for the whole day and they never returned my call. Completely made me feel alone and that no one cared if I lived or died. I ended up committing myself 2 months later after attempting suicide. I also got the proper diagnosis. I have been trying to seek help for 20 years. They set me up with a counselor, but we didn't mesh well, but this time I'm on medication. I feel happy, but I still have some issues I'm fighting at, monsieur. Here's to hoping I find the right person to talk to. Cheers. Keep fighting the good fight and never, ever give up on yourself, smiley face. Shadow people. One question we asked was if they ever saw, heard or smelled anything others didn't. This came up more often than you might think. WTF is a shadow person. That is one of the scariest combinations of 2 words I can imagine. For me personally, if I'm tired especially, My peripherals will pick out a body-esque shape or a across my vision. It's only there for a fraction of a second. But it's still kind of unnerving when you think you see a silent torso ghost its way past a doorway. I've seen a lot of people dismiss their depression, other mental illness because it's not that bad. Or, other people have it worse. Or, should be able to handle it on my own. You shouldn't have to suffer through mental illness even if you technically can. You deserve to be happy, and therapists and psychiatrists are there to help you learn how to help yourself. It's not a weakness to find someone who can assist you in figuring out coping skills or prescribe you medications to help fine-tune your brain's neurotransmitters. It's just hella expensive. Same, I would go for therapy but I just can't afford it. The attitudes of their parents. No, really. There are a lot of bad things that current parents do that are just seen as normal, when they're not. And they have long-lasting psychological effects from emotional damage. As a mom to a 2-year-old, this is one of my greatest worries. She is my greatest gift and I love her so much. I want her to grow up happy, kind, and confident to be herself. I want her to know that she will always be loved and supported by her family. Are there particular mistakes you commonly see parents making? I love this sort of feedback so I can try to be the mom my daughter deserves. Not op, but have had extensive mental health issues stemming from poor parenting. The top mistake my parents made, that I still have trouble with today, is discipline by withholding affection. By encouraging me to keep to myself whenever I had issues in school. They were unable to help me succeed, and I built up a collection of bad habits I'm still struggling to overcome. The second major mistake my parents made was failing to acknowledge their own mistakes, or making such acknowledgements a negotiation contingent on me admitting some arbitrary fault of my own. This prevented us from having honest discussions about basically anything, as whenever I would do something wrong, I would keep it to myself so they would not have ammunition if I wanted to bring something up with them, monsieur. In short, creating an adversarial relationship is the worst thing you can do to your kid. You're a mentor, a teammate, not an enemy. People normalize abusive behaviors by loved ones all the time. Being able to identify your own personal boundaries and then enforce them with others for your own well-being is, unfortunately, not innate. Research psychologists checking in. If your toddler is doing socially unusual behaviors such as not responding to name, not responding to a social smile, not pointing, using gestures, using your hands, arms as if they were a tool or extension of their body, engaging in repetitive behaviors, not responding to or use of gaze to direct their attention to distal objects, check with the pediatrician about getting assessed for autism spectrum disorder. I thought my daughter was deaf for a little while. I could stand behind her hollering her name and clapping my hands. She would be so hyper-focused on her blanket or Elmo she wouldn't react. Her speech was delayed. She is a toe walker. A litany of shit. I let my family tell me I was crazy and I just wanted something to be wrong with her. That there was nothing going on and she would grow out of it. Then the fits started happening. She was hitting her head on the wall, the floor, the cabinets. She was hurling herself off furniture, screaming for hours. Her poor little head and face were covered in bruises. I was scared someone was going to call the law on me and have her taken. Someone in our parenting recommended contacting early intervention. My daughter has a sensory processing disorder. She's got a severe speech and learning delay. We are waiting to see a therapist that specializes in children so she can be evaluated. She's receiving a bunch of different therapies. I guess I typed all this out because you're so damn right. Don't ignore. If you're a first-time parent, it might be hard to notice or accept. But if you feel like something is off, if your gut is telling you something isn't right, look for assistance. The longer you wait, the harder it is on your child and family. Edit. Shit. Thank you to the person that gave platinum. And Sil. Thank you. Thank you. This is so hard. Sometimes parents are in denial and wait too long to get experts involved. You're a good parent and your daughter is lucky to have you. There have been a lot of my patients who have been pretty surprised when I've told them, hey, that's anxiety, depression, when they just thought their behaviors were typical for everyone. Not being able to maintain friendships, constantly being nervous about the safety of your child, to the point where you hate being alone with your child without your partner, not being able to motivate yourself to do things, especially things you once enjoyed, feeling excessively tired all the time, not being able to calm down and just thinking about the same thoughts over and over, and feeling worried other things we can help with. Having a hard time trusting others, trying to recover a relationship from infidelity, not knowing why your kid is misbehaving so much and needing guidance, helping to improve communication within your relationships. If you experience these things, therapists can help. Let us help you. I've had a really hard time talking to my therapist about stuff like my no motivation. I'm on an antidepressant but an even upped it but have still no motivation and am still constantly tired. 5th and first, I also fall victim to. I have a hard time bringing this up to my therapist even. I'm like super quiet, maybe even autistic to a degree. What would you recommend I do, or like IDK, any recommendations on how to more easily bring up these topics to a therapist? I feel like I'm terrible at it.